Hey guys, this is a follow-up or a part 2, whatever you want to call it, to the Harley brake fluid flush. Today we're going to do the back brakes. Procedure's almost exactly the same as the front. We're going to use a Mighty Vac. We're going to evacuate some of the fluid out of the master cylinder. We're going to draw it through the system, and we're going to keep pulling fresh fluid through the system until it comes out fresh at the other end. Where we're going to be working today is down by the rear brake pedal. There's our rear brake master cylinder, and it's a single disc rear brake, and it's located behind the saddlebag, so we're going to have to pop that off to gain access to the bleeder screw and the caliper. Let me get you set up on the stand and we'll get going. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get a paper towel and we're going to clean around the lid of the master cylinder. Make sure there's no junk going to fall in there, contaminate the system. It's a little bit difficult to get to. It's even harder to film. Tucked way down the lower fairing here behind the brake pedal. Nice and shiny. Okay. We're going to have to take the saddlebag off. They are quick detached on the Harleys. Just a couple of quarter turn pins. And on my bike I've got rear speakers in the lid, so I have to disconnect those wires, which are also just on terminals. They just pop off. So we'll get you out of the stand and I'll show you how those come off, and we'll carry on. Okay, we're going to pop the saddlebags out of there. Give us access to the caliper. Grab 2 speaker wires off of here. Tuck them through. These are a bit of a pain in the butt to fish back out sometimes. It gets a little tricky back there. One and 2. Okay, I'm going to support the saddlebag just with my leg so it doesn't want to flop against the guards. Quarter turn fasteners. And we'll close the lid. Okay, now we're ready to lift that out of there. Just going to put a rag down on the garage floor here so it doesn't scratch the bottom of the paint. Straightforward and simple. Lifts right out. Set it down. Okay. Now we've got access to our rear caliper here. You see the bleeder screw on the top. That's what we're going to have to evacuate the fluid through. And don't remember the last time I did the rears, but if I don't remember, it means it's probably time to get done. While we're here, I might as well check the brake pad. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to see that in there. Yeah, there we go. Come on, focus. There we go. Yeah, we got quite a bit of pad left, so we're good to go in that situation. We'll just carry on flushing the fluid, and we should be good to go. Alright, hang on. Okay, we're up the front. We're going to pull the cover off the master cylinder. A couple of Phillips screws. These are not very tight. Should just come loose nice and easy for us. Camera angles for this video are not going to be very friendly. Everything seems to be in the way of everything. Just one screw. Second screw. Might be rather interesting trying to get the brake fluid back in there too. It's tucked way in there. We're going to be using .5 for this. That's what Harley specifies for front and rear brakes. No fluid overflowing. Diaphragm seal looks good. It's definitely muddy. It was due. Okay. Dot fly fluid should be purple or bright blue, usually purple. I've seen both. This is brown. This is not good. It's definitely overdue. So I'm going to use the Mighty Vac and I'm going to pull a little bit of fluid out of there to begin with, just to get it cleared to the point where I don't have to drag the entire reservoir of old fluid through the system. See if I'll show you when it comes out of here. I'll show you on camera the color of the fluid that's in there. It's pretty bad. I'm not going to pull it down below the ports of the master cylinder. I don't want the system to go dry. I don't want to introduce any air at all. Makes it a lot easier to get the fluid out. Make sure that the system's working properly when you're all done. It's not quite empty. Just a little bit of fluid left. Leave everything covered up there. Okay. That's the color of the mess that came out of there. Long overdue. Yep, long overdue. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that out of the cup. Now notice there's a little bit of sludgy stuff in the bottom of that master cylinder reservoir. I'm going to take a paper towel and just give that a nice little wipe, just to get the contaminants that have settled over time at the bottom. I'm going to just wipe them out, make sure that everything's going to be okay when we put it back together. No sense doing the job if you don't do it thoroughly. Again, I'm going to make sure I don't draw all the fluid out of the master. Don't want it dry. You want the ports to have a little bit of fluid left over them. Yeah, a little dirty. And that'll be fine for our purpose. Okay, switch over, get some detailed view of the caliper back here, and we'll get the Mighty Vac set up. Okay, just going to top up the master cylinder with fresh fluid. Fill it up almost to the top. We're going to adjust the final level when we're done doing the job. So we're going to pull fluid through from the master cylinder, through the line, out through the bleeder, and that'll let us see when the purple starts coming out of the bottom of the caliper. Okay, get that set up. 3/8 wrench on these bikes, these Harleys. Just crack it. There we go. That's not going to be an issue. Again, sorry for the camera angles. This side is the rear system is just not an easy one to film. Not a whole lot of room back here. Okay, that's all set and good. Put a little bit of vacuum on the system. I don't want to introduce air. And we'll crack that bleeder loose and give it some vacuum on the system. Needs a little more. There we go, start to pull. Seeing yellow fluid in there still. So we got to keep doing this until we see purple come through. At the same time, you got to check the master cylinder, make sure it's not getting low. I can see it from here. Still about half full. Still pulling old fluid out through the system. I don't know if you can see much of that, but still gold coming out of there. Still oldie goldie. Okay, at this point I'm going to stop the vacuum. I'm going to close the bleeder screw. I'm going to top up my fluid in my master cylinder, make sure I don't run empty. We still had a bit left, but better safe than sorry. Crack that bleeder again. And we'll pull the vacuum again. Still seeing gold coming out. This is quite a long brake line, so it does take a little bit of time to get the old fluid out. Plus you're draining the caliper. Still just gold. Lots of fluid left in the master. Pulling through nice and fast though, that's good. Still just gold. Not seeing any purple in there yet. Yeah. Just carry on and keep working it until you start to see purple come in. Indicates the fresh fluid has been pulled through the entire system. While keeping an eye on your master cylinder, make sure it doesn't go empty. And what I'm going to do here is I'll tighten that bleeder again, and I'm going to dump that old fluid out of the little cylinder from the Mighty Vac. It'll be a little easier to see fresh fluid coming in if it's not full of old mixed stuff. So yeah, it's still pretty crusty looking. The dirtier the system, the longer it can take for fresh fluid to show. Because it's going to be pulling all kinds of junk and dirt out, which is good. That's the whole purpose of the experience. Okay, top up fluid. Lots of fluid. Okay. Back to the bleeder. Crack that loose again. Should be almost to the point now where it's clean. It's getting there. I've pulled a lot of fluid out. There can't be too much more in there. little bit of gold. That looked like I timed that pretty good. It's starting to show purple in there. Starting to show. That's beautiful. Yep, purple fluid now. It's hard to see on camera. But you can tell it's purple, not gold anymore. Once you see the purple, or the color of the fresh fluid, that's the indicator that the entire system is clear of the old stuff and only the new stuff remains. Just a little snug here. Get the mighty back off. And final little tighten on the bleeder screw. Do not over tighten that. If you break it off, it's a lot more work. There you go. That's pretty well good to go. Next step is to refill the master cylinder to our final fill level. Leave a little bit of room for expansion on the top. And actually get that camera over there and we'll zoom in and go from there to see the final assembly of the master cylinder. Okay, hang on a sec. Okay, so we're going to top up that master cylinder until it's about a 3/16 of an inch from the top. Little room for expansion. Will allow air to compress in there. And it won't start swelling out around the diaphragm seal in hot weather. We'll give this a little wipe. Make sure that the surface is going to be clean, no debris and junk in there. Inspect it. Yeah, it's still nice and pliable. Give the top of the master cylinder reservoir just a little wipe. Make sure there's no dirt in there. There we go. Get this seated over there. On the front master, you can actually see all the way around that gasket, that diaphragm seal, to make sure it's sitting on top and over the lip because it is concave. The rear master cylinder here, you just don't have that opportunity to see behind, so just running my fingers along the outside to make sure that it feels like it's all level with the outside of the master cylinder. Nothing's tucked under or rolled. It hasn't rolled in the... going to give us grief in the future. A couple of screws in there. These are low torque screws. Just snug. If you go too tight, they'll leak. If you go too loose, they'll leak. So you just want to put a tiny little bit of preload on that diaphragm. And as you go, as you snug it down, you'll see the diaphragm just start to try and squeeze out from between the cap and the master cylinder body. As soon as you see it start to bubble out a little bit, just to bulge a little, that'll be enough. So just, I'm going to feel with my finger because the light's horrible. Yep, just bulge there. Just a little bit there. And it's the same all the way around. Okay, that's all good. Give her a wipe, make sure there's no brake fluid anywhere. Give that pedal a little push. Nice and solid. Not spongy. Tells me there's no air in it. It's great. It's exactly what we want. The brake fluid I'm using doesn't really matter the brand. This happens to be Clean Flow. It is .5 silicone fluid. This is a 350 milliliter bottle. There's a tiny little bit at the bottom. There's maybe this much left. This bottle, the single bottle, was enough to do the front and rear brake system. I flushed the fronts in my last video, and that consists of 2 calipers, so there's actually considerably more fluid used up in the calipers than there was in the line. So on the rear system the line is longer, on the front system there's twice as many calipers, so it all comes out even in the end. But one bottle's enough. This bottle retails about $18 at my local parts store, Canadian dollars. So being a dollar the way it is, that's probably about $4 US. Anyways, I'm going to take the next step is just to pop that saddlebag back on, get my wiring hooked back up for the stereo, and if the weather holds out, maybe I'll go for a road test. Okay guys, thanks again for joining me on this one. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you anything maintenance wise you'd like to see. Leave me something in the comments, and we'll try and make that happen for you. Okay, I'm going to wrap this one up now. Thanks guys. Take care.